We're going to be doing some coloring here in just a minute. I am opening up my chat on another device so I can actually see it. We're going to be coloring out of this super cute coloring book, and this is the page that I've been working on. So last week we added the colored pencil shading to all of the books, and this week we're going to be adding the shading to the animals and to the wall and the floor. So I did some alcohol marker coloring for my critters here, as well as the ceiling and the floor, and now I'm going to be going in with colored pencils. So I am not happy at all with how the bear turned out, and it's just part of alcohol marker coloring. You know, there's only so much you can do, but basically what happened was I did a nice even layer to start with, and I was happy with that. However, when I was doing this arm, I accidentally went over his little neck area here a second time, and because of the amount of ink that was already there and how dry it was, it left a really dark brown here. And so I really couldn't leave it like that, even though I knew I was going to come back over this with a colored pencil. So I chose to just go back over the whole thing with a marker to try to smooth it out. And I'm just really not happy with how that came out. So you can see the difference in the splotchiness of this compared to this. This is one layer of alcohol marker that dried all at one time, and this is a layer that was dry and then a layer over top, and it creates a splotchiness, which is not a big deal because I am going to go back over it with a colored pencil. But if I was just using marker, I would be very sad about my poor little bear here. So all right, I've got my chat set up. Hello to those of you who are watching. I hope you're having a great day. I just got home from an early dinner. My husband and I went to go get sushi, and the place that we go has an awesome happy hour menu, and I don't eat meat, but they have really good veggie options there. So I always get this vegan dragon roll that is phenomenal. I am stuffed. I am very full tonight. All right, the pencils that I'm going to be using are from Castle Arts. This is my swatch sheet for my normal set. I do also have the harmonious colors as well as the pastel tints. I don't know that I'm going to need to get into these other two sets. I'm probably just going to be focused on this one tonight. So what I want to do is start with this bear and choose a color that is going to complement the brown, but also be dark enough to stand out. And I want to not only give him some shading, but also maybe a little bit of fur-like texture. So he's really close to this walnut brown color. I might start with that and then come back in with one of these browns to add a little bit more detail. But let's see how the walnut brown looks. So I keep my markers in this case. They actually came in this case. You can get them in a tin, or you can get them in the zipper pouch. I really like this for keeping them all in order and organized. It's nice and easy to flip through. So I need number 117, walnut brown. I have swatched these all out and used them a little bit so they're nice and sharp. And when you get a new set of colored pencils, you should always run them through your sharpener just to get rid of any of the residue from production. I don't know what the residue is. I just know that the pencils work better if you give them a sharpen before you start using them. So, hi Cherry Wine, how are you doing tonight? So this first step, I'm just lightly going over everything. And this is going to help me make sure that the color looks consistent throughout the whole bear. This is helping to tone down some of that splotchiness from my botched alcohol marker coloring. It's giving a more evened out texture, but still some texture. And he is a bear, so he is furry. We don't want him to be flat. We don't want him to have flat coloring. Is anyone else doing some coloring this evening? And Cherry Wine asks if I like coloring in marker or pencil. And so my very easy answer to that is my current favorite thing is to do marker first, which is what I've done here, and then go back over and do the shading in pencil. So I'm really enjoying combining the two mediums right now. That is my favorite way to color. If you would have asked me 6 months ago, I would have said markers 100%, no question about it. But now that I know how I can get a great look by combining the two, I don't know that I can ever go back to just markers. Which do you prefer, Cherry Wine, markers or pencils? And anybody else that's watching, what do you like to color with? Markers really are a good choice. The vibrancy of the colors, I mean, I would never choose just colored pencils over just markers. But I really, really like combining the two. So last week, I did all of the shading of the bookshelves and the books with the colored pencil. I'd done the alcohol marker ahead of time. And then if you can see on the camera, all the shading is colored pencil. So flat alcohol marker plus colored pencil shading. And we're just working on the critters tonight, moving on. Hello, Scott. All right, Scott's mother says markers and pencils each have their own purpose. And I would agree with that. I don't think she's wrong. In a world where you can create anything, and in a world where you've got so many different mediums to choose from, I think you just got to find what you like and have fun. I was going to say practice and get good at it, but you don't even have to get good at it. Sometimes we think that we have to be good at our hobbies for them to be valid hobbies, but that's not true. As long as you're having fun, who cares what it looks like? The color wine red. Yes, Cherry Wine, that is a beautiful color and your namesake. Yes, I know who Scott Thornhill is. I know where he is right now, too. This YouTube lady knows everyone. No, just kidding. Only a few cool people. Is Rachel there too, Scott? All right, so I've added some colored pencil to my bear. It's gotten rid of a little bit of the splotchiness. And next I'll go in with a darker brown to add some detail. So looking back at my swatch here, this is the one that I just used. I'm going to use one of these next two. They're very close. I don't think it really matters which one. I think I'm going to go with the darker one, the burnt umber. Oh dear. Rachel, I'm sorry you're dealing with that. That sounds absolutely terrible. And I will not ask what you want for dinner tomorrow yet. That stinks. Super stinks to get sick while you're traveling too. I hope Scott's taking good care of you. So you can probably start to see this brown is darker, and I'm able to add in some shading. And I'm not super concerned about light sources as I'm doing my shading here. I'm basically just going to try to make my critters look round. And in order to do that, we'll add shading around the outside, so around their curves, and then also anywhere where there is overlap. So where his legs meet here, this leg is in front of this one, so there would naturally be some shading back here. And then I want him to look round, so I'm going to be adding some shading around the edges. There would be some shading under his arm and also on his arm. Do you have anything else fun planned for tonight, Scott, or anyone else who's watching? Hopefully this is not the highlight of your evening. This bear is also already starting to look so much better than when we started. If you missed me complaining at the beginning, I had done a single layer of alcohol marker, and that looked pretty good, except I had overlapped a little bit here when I was doing the arm, and it just left a dark streak. And in order to even it out, I did a second layer, and that left him really, really splotchy. I was very unhappy with that. This is looking a lot better. Bye, Cherry One. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. So besides giving him some shading and a little bit more texture, we can also think about other places where there might be shadows on his body. So he might have a little bit of a chin. So we could add some extra shading here, even though there are no lines in the coloring book to show that. We could add a little more. And we could darken up some of these other areas as well. I feel like the texture that we got from the colored pencil really did add a fur-like texture to him, so I don't think I'm going to go in and add any flecks or any hatching or anything. to get that extra texture. I think he'll be okay just like this. And the next step after we add our shading will be to add highlights. So eventually I'll be going back in with a white gel pen or maybe my acrylic marker to add some white here. I'm also planning to add gold highlights on some of the books. I think that that's a really pretty look on fancy books to have the gold foiling, and we can recreate that look in our coloring book. Moving on to my little fox. I'm going to pick a color to add some shading and texture to him. So let's see what we think. I think I'm going to start with this cadmium orange deep and go from there. That color matches him pretty closely. So this will just start adding a little bit of texture. And yes, orange deep. If I can find it. Oh, there we go. Scott, I did not know that your mom was an artist somehow. And yes, I agree. The white dots definitely bring them to life. It gives them that really great illustrated look, and it just makes them pop off the page. I really think it helps with the 3D aspect too. Helps to make things look a little more round and definitely more cartoony. I'm very addicted to this, the colored pencil over the alcohol marker. I was talking about all of this last week too, so I apologize if you're hearing me say it again, but when you color just with colored pencil, it's really hard to get rid of all the white in the background. You have to do a lot of really light layers, and it takes some pressure, and you could use a blending tool, or you could use Gamsol, or there are a lot of things that you can do to get rid of the white and achieve a really bright, pretty color. But it takes a lot of work. Versus if you do the layer of alcohol marker underneath, it's kind of like an underpainting, and you don't have to worry about getting rid of those white flecks. And I just think that's fabulous. I think that's the hardest part about colored pencil coloring for me, is just the time that it takes to build up the layers and fill in the white. And that's completely skipped when you start with a base color. And the alcohol marker is just such a fast way to achieve that. So I've actually been out of my craft room for a while. I was attending a crafting retreat for 4 days, Thursday through Sunday, and it was put on by my local paper crafting store. We used the conference room at a local hotel, And then a lot of the girls, we stayed at the hotel so that we didn't have to drive back and forth or anything. And we got to do a lot of crafting live in person together. And it's a crop, if you've ever heard of a crop before, where mostly you're working on your own projects, but they did offer some classes. It's kind of like a crafting cult, yes, Scott, except you can leave anytime you want, I think. I think I can leave anytime I want. But it was a lot of fun to meet some new local crafty friends and to see what everybody else is working on and just be inspired by other people's creativity. Because usually, most of the time, I'm just crafting by myself. Or I'm showing other people what I'm working on, which is quite a bit different than seeing what everybody else is up to. So I need a darker orange. I think I'm gonna go in with I was thinking terracotta, but now I'm thinking the burnt ochre. Let's see how that looks. This was my first time doing a retreat with that particular group, so I really didn't know anybody going in, and I feel like I made some great friends that I will definitely see again. I love that. We also, part of the weekend was doing a crafting challenge where they gave us a bag that had some paper in it, some scrapbooking paper, some cardstock, and then some different embellishments. So some paper embellishments, some ephemera, some little flowers. We had some enamel dots, just a couple of other things. And then the challenge was to make a project with it. And you were allowed to add some of your own things as well. The theme of the retreat was berries. It was a berry sweet retreat. That was the name of it. So the challenge was berry themed as well, which was really fun. And just the amazing projects that these ladies came up with. It was all women. I know there are crafters who were not women, but at this retreat, it was all ladies. They did cards, scrapbook pages, folios, books, tons of different mixed media projects and things. And I was like looking at their projects thinking, why did I even bother entering this contest? There's just so much talent in that room. You can tell these people are really passionate about their crafts and what they do. I want to show you the project that I made. If I can find it. I thought it was on the desk. I might need a second to remember where I put it. Okay, I'll think about that for a second. But I made a paper box. I got to use my math and geometry skills. And I made ATCs, artist trading cards, which are cards that are 2.5 by 3.5 inches. And the idea was that I made the box to hold all of the cards, and then of course I made more cards than would fit inside the box, so it didn't quite work out exactly the way that I had hoped, but it still turned out pretty cool. I have not put away all of my things since I've gotten home from that event, which is why I'm currently looking around on my desk through the piles of where did I put that thing? It's not particularly small. I I'll be very disappointed if I can't remember. It certainly is in this room. Oh, is that it? Oh, there we go. It was on my windowsill next to my plants. So I'll take just a tiny break from the coloring. So this is the top of the box. So I did all the math, and then I cut this out of cardstock, and then I used scrapbook paper, and I did some inking and just added those extra layers. And then this is the bottom of the box, which of course is a little bit smaller so that the lid fits on there. And then it has the little circle cut out so that you can actually take it out. So yeah, the cards were all supposed to fit in there. That was the original plan. And we ended up displaying the project like this instead because there are just way too many. So I ended up making 31 artist trading cards, and I'll just show a couple. I'm planning on doing a YouTube short about this little project. So anyway, it was a ton of fun to put together, and it was fun to be limited to just the things that they gave us. And then I also pulled in some little pieces that were things that I came across at the retreat. Like we played bingo, and so I used part of my bingo card in there, and there were little gifts with tissue paper, and I incorporated some of the tissue paper, and the cute napkins they had berries on them, so I incorporated some of the napkins and things. I really love a good challenge. So anyway, the weekend was really fun, and got to do a lot of crafting and some socializing. And then as soon as I got back, I spent a good chunk of the day with a girlfriend crafting again, and it's been a lot of crafting, but not here, not in my room. And I really need to get in here and get things put away. Alright, I really like this cute little fox. He's gonna look great once we get those extra little details. I think I'm also gonna do a shading color inside the ears and on the nose. So maybe the azalea pink. Let's see what that looks like. Cute. And a very easy way to add a little extra something. All right, so that leaves us, oh, his tail. I almost forgot his tail. So I did a very pale cream color. I think we'll add, for the shading, maybe this Naples yellow color. Let's see, Naples yellow is 8. Almost forgot the shading on the tail. Okay. That's better. Okay. So now we can move on to the ceiling, or the wall and the floor. I think we'll do the floor first. This was a golden yellow color. Maybe yellow ochre light will work well with that. So here we want to add some shading under the beanbag, around the books. I think coloring in the evening is just such a pleasant way to unwind from the day. I'm in my craft room right now, and when I craft in my craft room, it's standing room only. But I like to color at my desk, at my work desk, in my nice comfy chair, nice cozy lighting. I think that's really relaxing. I like this color with that base golden yellow, but I'm going to go back with something a little darker. So I'm just kind of giving a quick coating of this color just to make it a little more cohesive before I add a slightly darker shade. Okay, adding a little more around the edges of things that are sitting on the floor or standing on the floor. And then I think we might need to dip into a brown. So this burnt sienna color, if I go in really light-handed, I think that may be what we need there. Let's see. This is a much darker shade, so we definitely want to be adding just a little bit of color at a time. Since I already have some of the other yellow color in colored pencil, it is resisting this color a little more, which helps too. So I'm not doing too much accidentally. Start building up the colored pencil, not only on the alcohol marker, but on other colored pencil as well. I think this is giving that floor just a really nice warm tone now. I haven't done the shading on my beanbag here either, so I will need to go back and do that as well. I added some shading as I did the alcohol marker for the beanbag, but since everything else has a layer of colored pencil, I think that it only makes sense to add some colored pencil to that too. Even if it's just a light layer, just to make it a little more cohesive with everything else. I like that a lot. It's definitely more visually interesting than it was just with that one flat wash of color. like that. Okay, so we'll call that part done for now. And I think I'll do the wall, the purple wall, and then come back and do the bean bag. So choosing a purple, let's see. This color is very close, this Purple Lake. And then this Purple Lake Deep is nice. I think I'll do a quick layer with a Purple Lake and then add a little bit of detail with the Purple Lake Deep. I think that makes sense. All right, we need 91. So my first step with this, there's not a lot that I really want to add to this wall. You know, it's just a flat wall, so it doesn't necessarily need any detail. But again, because I've got colored pencil detail on all of the other elements, I think it needs to have some colored pencil on it, just so it doesn't look out of place. It's a nice, quick, easy step here. Some of my purple coloring was a little splotchy too with the alcohol marker, so this does help to hide that a little bit as well. I was actually thinking when I was doing that part, when I was coloring that purple, I was like, wow, I feel like I haven't colored with my alcohol markers in a little while and I feel a little rusty. But sometimes some colors are just harder to work with than others. And for some reason, my marker, I was switching between the chisel tip and the bullet point, and the depth of the colors coming out of each end were not the same. And so then I was trying to blend them together, and that's where the splotchiness came from. So I think it's just the ink has gotten more concentrated on the bullet tip side. All right, so that was the Purple Lake. Now I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of shading with the Purple Lake Deep. So it's just a darker shade. We'll add it toward the bottom and around some of these things that are sitting on the shelf. Okay. All right, then the last thing we're coloring before we do the highlights, and I may save those for next week. We'll see where we are on time. But I want to add some colored pencil to my bean bag here. Now, since I already had done this in a few different colors, you can see I've got a light, a medium, and a dark shade of my coral reds. I'm gonna have to really think about what color I want to use to do my texture, or do I want to use different colors to go through the layers. And now that I say it out loud, I'm probably going to do that. I'll probably lean that way. So do a lighter, a medium, and a darker, maybe even to emphasize that there are different shades going on in the chair. So let's see. I think this crimson for the bottom, and then I might just move up into that. No, let's do the crimson, the cherry pink, and the grenadine. Yeah, okay. So let's get those pencils. There's the grenadine, cherry pink, and the crimson. Let's see, where's that? Okay. So I might come in with a circular mark this time instead of the back and forth hatching, just to do something a little different. And certainly I'll want to add some shading around the bottom and under our little critter. Anything we can do to make it look more round. I don't think I have a deeper red than this. It's not really giving me a lot of contrast from the red that's already there, so I might come in with a purple actually to do this shading on the bottom. I like the way that this is looking with these circular marks though versus just the normal hatching. Kind of makes the chair look like it's fuzzy. Okay. Right, I'm doing cherry pink for the next bit here. And adding some shading. And some circular texture. And last one. This went very quickly. There we go. Hello, Cherry Wine. Welcome back. Are you coloring tonight? So I really didn't get a lot of contrast with the colored pencil I put down here, and I don't really have anything darker. Well, I guess I could try this magenta. I'm not sure if that's going to be dark enough either. I may end up going into something like the aubergine. Let's try the magenta. Might as well try it before I abandon the reds. Let's see. That's a little better. Some people in their shading are able to go very dark and have a lot of contrast, and that is something that I am working on. I feel so compelled to keep the colors relatively close to look more realistic, I guess. But the extra contrast, I mean, and it's art. How realistic does it need to look? These are critters in a library reading books, right? That extra contrast that I see some other people use in their coloring, I really love it. So I need to practice that more and be bolder in my choices for shading colors. And pretty happy with how this is turning out. I think that this page is ready for some highlights. But I think that's gonna have to wait until next week. So if you wanna see the highlights, the white and the gold, please join me next Wednesday at the same time. It's 5 o'clock for me. I'm not sure what time it is for you, but I would love to wrap this page up and move on to something else. I have been working on this page for a while. I'm just picking at it now and then, but I'm ready to finish this up. I think we'll also do some glossy accents on his glasses to give those lenses a shiny look. I think that'll be really nice. And maybe I'll look up some other textures or something that we can add just to add a little more interest. But thanks for watching tonight. I hope that you have a wonderful evening. Maybe do some coloring of your own, and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.